So hello, this is a video about the template method design pattern. So here's the definition. The template method pattern defines a skeleton for an algorithm, but it gives some of the implementation to the subclasses. So the template method allows the subclasses to redefine certain steps of an algorithm, but it does not allow them to change the structure of the algorithm. So here's the UML about it. We have an abstract class here with three methods, so the template method and two primitive operations. The abstract class can contain code for these primitive operations, but it is not necessary. This can also be abstract. Then the abstract class is inherited into a concrete class where those two primitive operations have been overridden. So there's probably new implementations for the methods there. So why should I use this? Or why should you use this? Uh, this method allows different behaviors from same methods. Simply, that's the key of it. So you are allowing allowed to avoid the duplication of code. So the subclasses differ only by the implementation. The methods will be with the same name. So you can use both classes similarly in your main or wherever you're using them. So you are actually hiding the algorithm and thus controlling the subclasses. And you are only allowing specific changes in the workflow. So to make this more clear, let's make an example out of it. So first up, I'm going to do a UML here, project called template UML, and creating new class diagram here. And what I want to do is that I have two classes here. Whoa, typoed both. Tea and coffee. So as you might know, the process of making these beverages is practically the same. So you have to boil some water, you brew, you pour it in a cup, and you add something into it. So when you're boiling water, that's similar for both of those methods. Then what you want to brew, that's the difference. So when you're doing coffee, you want to brew the coffee beans, but with tea, you want to brew the tea leaves. And when you're adding condiments to your beverages, they're not necessarily the same. So in tea, you could use honey, and in coffee, you can use milk and sugar, for example. So what we need is a class that is abstract, as mentioned before. So the base class has to be abstract. Let's call this caffeine beverages. And then we want to add a method that is the algorithm, the skeleton of our structure. So we're calling it prepare recipe. So this method will, in the end, create everything for the user. So the user doesn't have to separately brew and pour in cup, but the user just calls prepare recipe and everything will be done. It's like a servant. So then let's add some methods. So we had the boil water that was necessary. Then we want to brew something and pour it in the cup and add something. There. So this is basically our caffeine beverage. Now when we think about it, this brew method here can be put as an abstract because we don't want to have a default brew. You can't brew just something, as well as with the condiments. You want to make it abstract because you don't want the default method to be run. And of course, this prepare recipe, you don't want to give it to the subclasses at all. So in order to protect it, we can make it final. So when the method is final, it cannot be inherited into the subclasses. So the inheritance then. Let's add some there and another one there. So now we had some of the methods we wanted to override. So the brew and add condiments. So let's add those here in the subclasses. There. And there. So this is basically it, a whole example. And what I want to add is a main class where this program will be run. So the main class will be using caffeine beverages. So we have one main class and multiple different caffeine beverages. And we're just adding a method called main and adding parameters in order for NetBeans to actually notice that this is a main class. Make it static. And here we have it, the whole thing. Then let's change this UML into Java. Template code. We don't want the main class. And now our source package is empty. So I'm generating this UML as a code. And now I have everything here. So first up, we are taking tea and coffee. And just simple prints are enough for this example. So we're just adding a single line of print, so tea is brewing and adding sugar and lemon. So that's it. Then the same thing with the coffee. There. And we want to add milk to our coffee. And that's basically these two classes, then jumping to the abstract class. So as we can see, this one method here is final, and we have two abstract methods. So let's do the easy ones first. So when we're boiling water, let's just print out that the water is boiling. And then when you are pouring it into a cup, you're just pouring. So these abstract methods, we're just going to leave them as is. No changes here because they were already overridden in the subclasses. So then we just want to make this prepare recipe algorithm work. So let's take the correct order and put in the methods. And add condiments. There. And now what we want to do is to make something out of this. So first up, we're gonna make some tea. New tea, and then we just call prepare recipe. Then let's add a print so we can see the difference here. So now we're making coffee this time. Coffee, and we're calling the same method here, prepare recipe. So, and we're gonna run this. We select the main class, and here we can see we have first a tea, so boiling water, brewing tea, adding sugar and lemon here. Same thing with the coffee, but the methods here are different. So that's the basics of a template method.